Hey, this is Hendrikz, and this session we're going to look at writing email messages. Now, this is probably the method of communication, or business writing that you would be dealing with most. Internally, externally, we all use emails. This is the way that we arrange meetings, that we invite people to things, that we inform people about stuff. So it's very important to know how to write the email. In this session, I'm going to give you a sample of a good email and a bad email, and I'm also going to look at some basic principles of writing good emails. One thing we need to realize is that on the internet, privacy is an illusion. So many people have access to your files. It's so easy to copy and paste files. It's so easy to forward files. It's so easy to save files. It's almost impossible to keep privacy on the internet. So if you write something, you must from the start know that this file or this writing of yours can be seen by many people, and many people you did not anticipate would see this. Writing effective emails has a number of principles, and what I'm going to do is I want to first just have a look at emails, and I'm going to look MS Outlook to demonstrate an example of a good email and an example of a bad email, and then we're also going to look at the principles of writing effective emails. So let's have a look. There are a number of email messaging services available on the internet today. A lot of direct messaging services that you go directly to a website such as Yahoo or Google, Gmail. These are many of these services available. The one that I've got on the screen for you here is Outlook, Microsoft Outlook. There's also a lot of direct messaging which is very popular under younger people today, such as Facebook and Twitter, where we don't have all this formality. But in essence, all messaging services do have a similar construct. On top there's a to button, which is the receiver, the person who receives this email. There's a CC that stands for carbon copy. Carbon copy implies that this person is not the person primarily receiving the email, but it's somebody to whom this email is important. Therefore, this person should take note. If my name is under CC, then I note that this email is not directed at me, but it's important to me. And then, of course, there's the subject. The subject is extremely important. If you leave this line open, your email might end up in the spam box, because many spam box or spam emails do not have subject lines. Your subject line should draw immediate attention. It should tell the person what this is about. Then there's a body. That's the large screen, the white screen that you can see there, where you can type in your message. And then what I have in there is what we call an email signature. This goes on automatically every time I send an email through MS Outlook. The reason I put that there is so that there's no confusion about how to get hold of me. Firstly, there's my name, it's clear. Then it says who I am. I'm an organizational performance specialist and executive trainer. Then it gives my website address and also my email address. Now, many people say that you should not put your email address in a signature because it's already there. I say nonsense, because if it's in the to box, in the receiver box up there, it's very often difficult to cut and paste. And often it's saved on your database, therefore you just get the name there. You don't know what the email address is. Sometimes you want to write down the email address, or sometimes you want to copy and paste it to another browser or to another messaging service. So I believe that the email address should be there. It's clear, and you can write it down, you can cut and paste it, and you can read it to people if somebody comes into your office and asks you what is the email address. My telephone number. You know how many people send me an email without a telephone number? I say to them, but why don't you put your number there? They say, but Derek, you've got my number. That's not the point. It means that you're giving me work now. I've got to go take my phone, search for your number. Now it's right there. So if you want to phone me, you can see my number. You can phone me from the screen. Fax number, and also my links to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I believe that a good email signature saves a lot of time on the receiver to get hold of you. Now, what I want to do is give you an example of a bad email message and a good email message. Let's have a look at that. So here's a good example of a very bad written email. Let's have a look. On the subject line, it just says meeting. Meeting what? Meeting where? Meeting when? It says absolutely nothing. It just makes one angry, because there's meeting. You have no idea what this meeting is about and where this meeting is and with whom it is. Hi, Timmy. I just wanted to remind you about the meeting. We've scheduled this next week. Next week when? Next week where? Do let me know if you have any questions. How can I have any questions if you do not give me information? Best wishes, Derek. There's no telephone number for Derek. There's no contact details for Derek. So it's going to be you're giving me work to get hold of Derek. So this is an example of a very bad email message for the simple reason that it does not have enough information. Here we have an example of a good email, a good well-written email message. You'll see the subject line is very clear. Meeting reminder, past process, Monday 5 October, conference room A. So immediately I know what this is about, I know why you're reminding me, I know when this is, and I know where this is going to happen. Only missing thing there might be the time. Hi Timmy, I would like to remind you of our meeting on the past process on Monday. Now I'm telling the person what the meeting is about, and I'm also saying when it is. Then I bulleted 5 October 10 a.m. conference room A. Please feel free to contact me with any questions. Looking forward to your inputs. And then I've got my name there with my contact particulars. Everything here is easy to cut and paste onto something else. It's easy to recall. If I want to flag it and pull it up at a later stage, I can quickly get hold of this. This is a well-written email. Now I do know that MS Outlook has its own function for meeting invites. Remember, it's not the purpose of this module to teach you how to invite people to meetings. It's the purpose of this module to teach you how to write well-constructed messages. So the principles of this invitation that I've given you here would apply to anything else, any email message. Be clear, be concise, be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, time-bound, realistic. Now that we've covered this, let's have a look at a couple of basic principles on writing email messages. Now the very first principle is that subject lines are also headlines. I'm going to spend some time on this because it's extremely important that you have a proper subject line written. Now when you write a subject line, there are a few basic rules. The first rule is grab attention. You need to make sure that the person who reads this, you have his or her attention, that this person takes note of this, that this person flags this, that this person sees this as something important. We get hundreds of emails. I myself get up to 200 emails a day. If the headline is not important to me, I simply ignore it or delete it or throw it in the spam filter. I don't have time to go through each and every email. The second rule on subject lines are to be clear on what the mail is about. If you write the heading clearly, then I've got an idea, it's grabbed my attention, I want to see more. Be precise, be concise, be specific. Nobody has the time to read long love letters or essays or mini theses. People have very limited time to their availability, therefore make sure that you bullet point things, make sure that you get to the point, forget about nonsense words. You know, keep your sentences short, keep your sentences concise. It's a practice that would give you that type of writing style. The last rule, rule 3 of subject lines, are request specific action. When you write an email, tell me exactly what it is that I must do about what you're writing me. If you write an email, yes, be concise, be specific, write your headline, but then what must I do? Must I attend the meeting? Must I bring stuff along? Must I prepare for the meeting? What is it exactly that you need from me? The more specific, the more to the point, the more direct you are about that, the more results you would be able to get from me. There's your 3 rules. Grab attention, be clear on what the mail is about, request specific action. The second basic principle is to always try as far as you can to make 1 point per email. One of the advantages of email compared with traditional letters is that it doesn't cost any more money to send several mails than it is to send one. So if you need to communicate with somebody about a number of different things, consider writing separate emails on each subject. Your subject line will differentiate what you're writing about. That way your correspondent can reply to each one individually and the appropriate time frame. One topic might require a short reply that he or she can send straight away. Another topic might require more research. By writing separate messages, you should get clear answers while helping other people manage their inboxes better. If you do want to put several points in an email, perhaps because they relate to the same project, consider presenting each point in a separate paragraph. Always keep your sentences short and to the point. The body of the email should always contain pertinent information. In your course where there's a number of samples of good and bad report writing, One more thing is that it's important to make one point per email, because often people want to send these emails to other participants to the project, or they want to file it somewhere under a folder. These things just make sense to keep one point per email. Do not mix up your projects. Do not mix up your tasks. It's difficult to manage in that way. We live in an era where people request short, concise messaging. A third principle is to specify the response that you want. This is a call for action. Make sure that people know what they want you to do after this email. Call for follow-up or appointment. It could be a phone call. It could be something that people have to do. Include your contact information so that if it's vague, people can contact you and talk to you. Even with internal messages, this is a point I've made earlier. If you do not include your contact information, you make it difficult for people to get hold of you. Be specific, be clear, and let people know exactly what it is that you want them to do. A fourth good principle of email messaging is to use the EOM headline. EOM stands for end of message. Now this implies that the subject line is the message. In other words, the person doesn't have to open the mail. It saves a hell of a lot of time. A good example was my earlier meeting request. There I could just put the date, the time, the place, what the meeting is about, and then EOM. The EOM would imply that you don't have to read any further. I know that you're busy, therefore, look at the headline and respond to that. So EOM, end of message, headlines, very effective, helps to save time, helps to improve productivity. The last principle here is to be a good correspondent. A good correspondent means that people like corresponding with you, and they know that you act assertively with emails. Make sure that you go through your inbox regularly. This is a simple act of courtesy. It encourages others to reply to emails in a timeless manner, and it helps other people to feel that you are giving attention to that which they put your way. If a detailed response is required to an email and you don't have the time to pull together information straight away, send a holding reply and say that you've received the message and that indicate that you will respond fully. The frequency of how many times you clean your inbox would depend on the nature of your work. In my work, I have to do that on an hourly basis. I can't even leave it for a day. Always set your out of the office reply. When you're going away from your email the day or more, make sure that people know where to get a hold of you or what to do, or when, at least when you're coming back. Now, to end the session, we basically still have to look at internal emails. Although there's not really a difference between writing an internal email and an external email, they're very much the same. Never be too informal, never be too formal. Don't use slang, use proper words. And of course, remember the 3 rules of email communication, which are spell check, spell check, spell check. Having an email message full of spelling problems and grammatical errors is a reflection of you and your thinking. That's it for the session. I hope to see you at the next one.